And next on our list is the man, the legend. Here he is, your friend and mine, Tone Vays.
I got it. Cool. Morning, everyone. Thank you for coming out. Hope everybody enjoyed the meat dinner last night. Awesome following safe. Listen to his presentation. I'm actually glad he talked about diet and not his book because I am. I didn't want to directly repeat his presentation. So those of you that aren't familiar with my work, though I doubt in this room there's many of those, check me out on YouTube as Tone Vays, tonevays.com. I have a couple of conferences, Unconfiscatable, Understanding Bitcoin. And there's a new presentation. This is the practice run because this is the presentation I'm going to be giving at all of the conferences around the world that are still focused on ICOs and altcoins and God knows what. So the title of the presentation is Bitcoin, There Can Be Only One. There we go. And I'm basically going to talk about why Bitcoin will basically eat all the shitcoins and why all of them are going away, and I'm going to point to some of the details. So the big graphic right there is my attempt to categorize all of the altcoin space and the ICO space, and I really wanted to do it as a 3-Venn diagram, ended up being as a 4-Venn diagram, and now that everyone is slowly starting to merge mine with Bitcoin, because obviously they can't keep up the shroud, I might have to put a 5th one in here, but this is what we're working with for now, like with almost all of my presentations. Oh, it worked a minute ago. There we go. Oh. It was just slow. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I got it. I'll just a little delay. One more. Yeah. There's a lot of slides, so I do need this working. Okay. I always show the first screen of the white paper, just basically just the abstract, and just to remind people that what did Satoshi invent? Satoshi solved the double spending problem by inventing proof of work. The word blockchain was never seen in the Satoshi white paper. And where did the word blockchain came from? Well, it came from a little comment in the code where Satoshi said when they solved the proof of work, they broadcast the block to everyone, and the block is added to the blockchain. That word wasn't important. In very early writings, it's referred to as a time chain, and but the word blockchain has been basically ran away with, and now everything is a blockchain. So let's talk about proof of work, and this is where Safe's book starts to come in that people always say that mining is wasteful and how it's killing it will kill the world, and now mining is bigger than a small country, and soon it will be bigger than a medium country, and soon it will be bigger than a big country. And I'll just read a little footnote from that book. The question of whether Bitcoin wastes electricity is at its heart a misunderstanding of the fundamentally subjective nature of value. Electricity is generated worldwide in large quantities to satisfy the needs of consumers. The only judgment about whether the electricity has gone to waste or not lies with basically the consumer. So as long as the electricity goes to serve a purpose, it has not been wasted. And we really do need this purpose of having politically neutral money. So the other thing that people don't realize is that Bitcoin was basically the combination of all of the technology that came before it. It wasn't something that randomly was created. So here's an email exchange from 2001. And I'm just going to read the very last part. Personally, I like the idea of Hashcash, if and only if it is structured like a real currency, as opposed to simply proof of work. In the real world, you pay for the resources used. In many cases, this should also apply to peer-to-peer and other computer systems. Of course, getting Hashcash workable as a real currency is extremely difficult. I've thought of a scheme that would work. Coins are signed by owner and can only be changed, signed to a different owner by the owner. Except you need a decentralized central database of all the hash cash that's been minted. Unworkable, shit, spend twice problem. So this was an attempt to solve this problem with proof of work in an email Saturday afternoon around noon, March 2001. Who wrote it? I hit it, but I don't want to go too far. There we go. Peter Todd, at 15 years old, writing an email to Hal Finney. Okay? So after Bitcoin, when you see someone show up and say, I solved it, I solved all the problems, I think the first question I would like to ask is, what exactly were you doing at 15 on a Saturday afternoon? Because because people a lot smarter than you have been working on this basically their entire life since they realized what the internet was. So you really want to keep in mind of where your developers came from and what they were doing before and what kind of things they were trying to solve. Okay, I just have to press it harder. So Satoshi also realized that this is going to be money, and it's going to be critical, and one of the most important things to it is stability. Stability that things aren't going to move fast and break things, which is why in 2010 he wrote, the nature of Bitcoin is such that once version 0.1 was released, the core design was set in stone for the rest of its lifetime. This immutability is not a feature of the Bitcoin software, which is trivial to change for anyone with coding skills, but rather is grounded in the economics of the currency and network and stems from the difficulty of getting every member of the network to adopt the same change to the software. So now that we got the background on the Bitcoin tech out of the way, let's briefly talk about the money side of the equation. Again, Saifedean, I'm not sure where you want to sit, but referencing your book quite a lot here. And well, I already know what your next book's going to be about, so that's why there is a picture right there. Just a few quotes from the book about money. Hard money, by taking the question of supply out of the hands of governments and their economist propagandists, would force everyone to be productive to society instead of seeking to get rich through the fool's errand of monetary manipulation. International economic summits are convened where world leaders try to negotiate each other's acceptable currency devaluation, making the value of the currency an issue of geopolitical importance. For every other money, as its value rises, those that can produce it will start producing more of it, whether it's rhinestones, seashells, silver, gold, copper, or government money. Everyone will have an incentive to produce more. Bitcoin is the hardest money ever invented. Growth in its value cannot possibly increase its supply. It can only make the network more secure, and it makes Bitcoin fundamentally different from every other money. All right, now that the background's out of the way, let's talk about everything that came after Bitcoin and how every other cryptocurrency thinks they are better and greater. I could have put hundreds more on here. I think I'll be new stuff came out. I don't have everything covered, but let's talk about the most popular ones that are just not going away. Let's go right into Litecoin. Litecoin is the silver to Bitcoin's gold. It must be true since it's written in the Bitcoin blockchain. So, so that's Charlie Lee. This is 2015, and I think that was stamped into the Bitcoin blockchain way before that, like 2011. I don't have a screenshot of that. And of course, everyone else is pointing to their own cryptocurrencies. Hey, well, if Litecoin is silver and Bitcoin is gold, then Monero is platinum, and we'll get to Monero in a minute. So, what does that mean? Well, let's get a little more details from Charlie Lee. Bitcoin is gold, Litecoin is silver, and XRP are diamonds. I was really curious about the XRP are diamonds part and which direction he was going to go with that. Mr. Lee, the extreme centralization of XRP makes him share specific characteristics with the diamond market. First of all, centralization allows for some manipulation. Charlie Lee also commented. So at least he went in the right direction, because they all have to compete with each other, and they all have to, as neutral as Charlie Lee likes to be, he is calling Ripple more like diamonds because it's so centralized. I couldn't agree more. Everyone says how gold is manipulated. Well, to me, it's diamonds. I would love to see diamonds being traded in the futures market, so I can also speculate on the price of diamonds. Now, it was... Ooh, what happened there? Oh, no, sorry. No, I got it. Oh, wait, am I actually controlling this or no? Okay, hold on. So it should zoom in on that little chart. No, that doesn't work. Oh, yeah, okay. Maybe it did work. Yep, so there it is. So the blue line is the price of diamonds. That went up a lot in 1980, and in red is the price of Ripple. So it really is uncanny how similar those things actually are. All right. Oh, here we go. I got it. Oh, I got it. I just have to point that way. Cool. So why can't there be the silver to Bitcoin's gold when it comes to Lightning? Once again, I am going to reference Saifedean's The Bitcoin Standard. But the 19th century, however, with the development of modern banking and the improvement in methods for communication, individuals could transact with paper money and checks backed by gold in the treasuries for their banks and central banks. This made gold-backed transactions possible at any scale, thus obviating the need for silver's monetary role and gathering all essential monetary salability properties in the gold standard. Basically, what it means is, if your hardest and most stable currency can scale, there is absolutely no need for another currency for its microtransactions. So this means that as long as we can use Bitcoin with smaller and smaller transactions, Lightning is doing just fine. And if Lightning does not work out, which I fully expect that it will, people will most likely just be using centralized entities like Coinbase for their small transactions. It's unfortunate, but it will probably lead in that direction. So there would be... Oh, God, no. All right, what am I... Sorry, guys. There we go. Basically, there's really no need for a micropayment to Bitcoin if Bitcoin scales. So all Litecoin has done is created basically inflation on top of Bitcoin in a much more insecure way. And here we have Luke Dash Jr., who pointed this out all the way back in 2013, where he said scams like Litecoin made 3 irrelevant changes. They changed the proof of work function to script from SHA-256. They created a faster block, but it's not really faster because it's less secure. So you need like 24 or more blocks to confirmations in order to get the same security as a couple of blocks in Bitcoin. And they created a larger supply of Litecoins, but there is more micro Bitcoin than there is Litecoin. So basically, he was able to point this out long ago. So there really is no need for silver to Litecoin's gold. There's no need for silver to Bitcoin's gold because Bitcoin is going to scale for smaller and smaller transactions. Now, let's talk about the privacy side of things. Everyone is hype on Monero, and Monero has lots of competition from Bean and Grin, and what else is there? Well, I think everyone knows by now that Dash isn't private, but they haven't figured that out yet. Zcash and many others. So I try to find as many buzzwords from the Bitcoin space that shows you of the things that are going to go into Bitcoin to create the fungibility and privacy for Bitcoin. From Schnorr signatures to Taproot, bulletproofs, CoinJoin, PainJoin, Graphroot. We already have wallets that are giving you privacy, Wasabi, Samurai. Lightning over Tor is supposed to be pretty private. And, of course, the Liquid sidechain, that's the one that's flying under the radar. A lot of people Since no one actually uses Monero for transactions, the best use case is, hey, I'm going to take my Bitcoin, I'm going to use a centralized exchange that knows who I am, I'm going to convert that into Monero, and then I'm going to convert that back into Bitcoin, and all of a sudden I have my privacy. Well, it's a lot better to do, maybe not today, but certainly by end of year. Take your Bitcoin, put them right into the liquid sidechain, convert them into liquid Bitcoin, let them sit in there for a little bit, mix around, and then you're good to go when you pull them back out right into Bitcoin. You take on zero exchange risk, you take on zero Bitcoin volatility risk, currency risk. So all of that is coming in. So why do we have all of these privacy coins, the Zcash people testifying in Congress and all the rest? Well, it basically comes down to this. Oh my God, I've just coded the greatest privacy encryption protocol of all time. Well, you look at it and say, well, is it backwards compatible with Bitcoin? Can we add it as a soft fork? If you could, then it's probably going to get added, and Bitcoin will have privacy. So what happens when you can't? So when you come up with, say, Mimblewimble, that cannot be implemented on Bitcoin as a soft fork, what happens is someone says, I want to get rich. I'm going to take this interesting piece of code and I'm just going to monetize it. So if it's already been monetized, like ring signatures or Mimblewimble, it's a shitcoin. If it hasn't been monetized yet, it's a future shitcoin. And yes, I am talking to David Schramm on this one. So it really doesn't matter how interesting your encryption code is for your messages. If it can be added to Bitcoin, all you can do is just scam people by monetizing that piece of that line of code. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And this is one of the arguments I have when people say, well, wouldn't it be better if Bitcoin had encryption from the start right in the underlying protocol? Yeah, of course it would have been better, but it also would have been better if the very first car that was created, was like a Tesla, right? It would have been better, but it wasn't. So it is what it is, and we gotta do the best thing we can, because you're not going to change the underlying protocol because everything pretty much has to be backwards compatible. I think unless I can still potentially see a hard fork in Bitcoin, but only if the other option is it just dies. But if anything is even debatably debatable, never going to happen. And I think we all in this room know that. And so sticking with privacy coins for 200, we have Zcash. And again, they have to find a way to monetize it. Not only do you need to find a way to monetize the code by turning the code into what you think could be a currency, you also have to somehow make money. So here we have Zcash, which is collecting 20% of the mining reward, and they want the entire 20% in its first 4 years, where you have 80% goes to the miners, 3% is, of course, going to the Zcash Foundation, another 3% is going to the Zcash company. I'm not exactly sure what the difference is there. And then you have the remaining 14.2% going to Zuko and friends. And of course, since this thing has already been around for 3 years and continues to drop in price, the man's got to eat. Apparently making $3 million a week is not enough, and now you have to go out on another speaking tour and beg for more money. So you have to either create more inflation, or you basically try to convince people that you need more money. So, skipped a couple actually. Oh, not sure how that happened. So we also have Dash. I used to have this series called Crypto Scam where I talked about them individually. Fluffy Pony helped me out on this one, where he was basically writing up everything on Dash and how insecure it is and how they basically scam their way to existence. There's really no difference between an insta-mine and a pre-mine. Dash had lots of interesting things with it. It was called Xcoin when it launched, and by accident, strictly by accident, about 5% of about 5% of everything was created in the very, very early, just in the first few minutes, and then they And then the next day, they decided they're not going to have 84 million coins. They're only going to have 21 million coins. And all of a sudden, it wasn't 5% that was created, but it was a lot more by percentage. How much time do I have left? Oh, I'm good? Oh, I'm good. All right, excellent. We got a few more. Oh, again, I skipped one. I don't know. Hold on. I'm not sure which way, actually. Let's try back. It's always safer to go back. Perfect. Other ways, you have to find a way to create money. Let's talk about Steemit. I used to put out like these graphics back on Twitter all the time. I used to pick like the hottest and greatest thing. I think my best timed one was I had the DAO right there. I tweeted that out with the DAO right before the Mount Stupid. And the DAO got hacked like 5 days later. So that was my best timed one. But this is basically what happens when you start creating things. And Steemit, well, what did Steemit do? Steemit also, in a way, insta-mined. So basically, Steemit, before anyone knew what it was, they said, we're going to have a coin. Anyone can mine it. But mining was only around for 30 days. So about a dozen people mined it for 30 days, and then it goes 98% proof of stake for another few months, and then they announce what the Steemit platform is actually going to do. And everyone's going to get paid in their own currency to write on the most centralized website known to man, because about 8 people control which articles make it to the top. And back when Steemit came out, everything was just promoting Steemit, and that's how you made all of your money in the form of Steemit, in the form of Steem. And it's another one of those Dan Larimer complicated schemes of 3 different currencies. And again, a giant mess. But basically, it all comes down to printing money for yourself. Now let's go over to the ICO space. So this graphic is actually somewhat complicated because like we have our proof of work coins. These are your Monero and your Litecoin. You have your proof of stake and proof of other insanity coins. This is Next, which is all proof of stake, and I believe they're now merge mining. You have proof of importance with NEM, and it's in a different bucket, right? Because they're trying to be a database layer. So these are your blockchains and decentralized ledgers. Now you have Hyperledger and R3. They don't have any tokens. So like at this point, I'm really respecting Hyperledger and R3 because they didn't decide to print their own money. I mean, this is what we're down to, right? And Ripple, on the other hand, printed a lot of money, and then you have an unreasonable amount, actually. And then you have all of your ICOs over here, and then you have real disasters like TokenPay, which is an ICO and a proof of stake, which is insane. And then you have Ethereum here, EOS there. Again, it's an ICO, but it's still proof of work, so it has to be in the proof of work bucket. But it's also a database layer for smart contracts, so it's in this corner. EOS is not proof of work, so that's why it's in the proof of stake bucket. But it was also an ICO, and it's also trying to be a database layer. So this stuff really gets out of control. You have these guys here. This is your Zcash, your Decred, and your Dash. The reason why they're on the border with little asterisks is because they basically have developer funds, or they were insta-mined. So that's basically the breakdown of the entire shitcoin space. So let's talk about a couple. So what are the problems with ICOs, and where are they going? Well, those of you that paid attention earlier this week, our own Reggie Middleton is not having a very good day. And I like Reggie too. And I remember watching Reggie on Kaiser Report before either of us were in Bitcoin space. And man, the SEC is really trolling, right? I mean, they were like a self-described financial guru. This is not some article. This is the official SEC's release. SEC filed charges against Reggie Middleton, a self-described financial guru, and the entities of Veritasium. And I think most ICOs are about to get a very, very similar treatment, something a lot of us have been saying for a long time. It's unfortunate, but that's what happens. Let's head over to the smart contract base layers. As much as Rootstock tried to do everything, well, the liquid sidechain, unfortunately for them, and Ethereum and EOS and Cardano is finally out. So this is a smart contract layer, along with many other things from the liquid sidechain. I really gotta look way more into it. You can create your altcoins right on top of it, and this is where the future of smart contracts is going to be. So sorry for Ethereum and Cardano and Rootstock, because those are probably going away. I think that's it. I mean, I could have zoomed into a lot more. I mean, I don't think I even need to talk about Ethereum in this room, but what I've always said about Ethereum suffers from 4 critical problems. So one of them is the ICO problem that they created, an unlicensed, unregistered security. It's possible they can weasel out of that with the statute of limit, like it's just been too long, and they can afford advisors. So it looks like they're going to weasel out of that one. The regulators were definitely late to the party. The other problem is we all know they can't scale. Their best idea, I think, has been to scale by merging with Bcash. I think that's their. I mean, you really can't make this stuff up. So they can't scale. So technologically, they just can't do it. They're also thinking of building Ethereum 2.0. That's another fun one. So they have that technological problem. I personally think they have a major economic problem in that you shouldn't have to use a native currency to use a service or a product. It shouldn't be needed. You should be able to pay in the currency of your choice. Creating all of these, I'm going to create a store, and I'm only going to accept Tonecoin for that store, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, Bitcoin is becoming a major currency player in the world, so it will become a currency that everybody has. So you should be able to pay with Bitcoin for everything, but you're not going to have Amazon accepting Amazon stock for its products to sell you is completely ridiculous, and that's the economic problem of all of these other blockchains, or so-called blockchains, but most of them aren't even proof of work. And there's also a general, just a general concept problem. Smart contracts probably don't need to be decentralized. Decentralization is very, very difficult, and it's very, very expensive. You can see how it's taken up the electricity of a medium-sized country. So doing something that does not require censorship resistance really has no need to be decentralized. So all of these smart contracts will probably be executed on AWS or on top of Google or on top of many other services. So that's basically Ethereum in a nutshell. Oh, and we're going to close out with a tweet from Giacomo Zucco, who said it really, really well. Bitcoin maximalism, also known as moderate common sense, where Bitcoin could maybe succeed. And it's in the middle of the spectrum. Because there are 2 other extremes that Bitcoin can't exist at all. That is your Nouriel Roubini no-coiner, or the multi-coiner. Bitcoin is infinitely replicatable. It's not that innovative. It's not important. And my clone is the best. This is your Vitalik or Dan Larimer. Or, I really should get that quote from Satoshi to Dan Larimer. If you still don't get it or don't understand it, I no longer have the time to explain it to you. Some people don't remember, but that was said by Satoshi to Dan Larimer. And who still doesn't get it, and he gave us BitShares and then Steemit and then EOS and God knows what else. All right, guys. On this note, that's it. This is my view of the altcoin space in a nutshell. My little practice run for this presentation as it makes its way into the altcoin conferences. Thank you so much. I think I left a little bit of time. I can yield my time or have a question or two. I was recently given this shirt. I love it. I couldn't think of a better venue to wear it.